Hello, everyone. Happy to be back with another Young Indian, part of the Voice of the Young series. Right now, we have with us Rachit Gupta. Let's listen to him. Over to you, Rachit.
Yes, sir. So first of all, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Subodh sir, to give out an opportunity to such a, I'll say, young mind. For I'm just 18 now. So for the introduction, so my full name is Rachit Gupta, and I was born and brought up in Delhi itself. I did my schooling from a locally known school called Tyagi Public School, and currently I'm pursuing my undergraduation in economics major as well as mathematics minor from Hindu College, University of Delhi. So, first of all, Professor Mathur, I couldn't help but notice that you completed your graduation in economics from Stephens, which is right across the road from Hindu College, where I'm studying. So it's fascinating to think how, two intellectual mind, just a difference that I'm not that intellectual, I'm still learning, and did a cross pollination between the people of two institutions. So as I was seeing your work as an economist, I was utterly struck by by how diversified your work portfolio is, be in the US Department of Administrations and Environment and the Postal Service. So, do you remember your time at Stephens? What was that time? How was Hindu at that time?
Well, the main differences today are that we had no
Mhm.
facilities of any type that you can think of today.
Right.
Nothing. The whole college would have one payphone and it won't work most of the time. So we had no communication, no facilities, nothing. So
Mm-hmm.
essentially, you just knew your friends and the people around you. And there wasn't
Mm-hmm.
too much even, communication across because
Right.
there was no time, no way to make connections, right?
Mm.
But the, and there was also much less competition than today.
Yeah.
Okay, much less competition, but essentially, today, if you go to your college, you will find there are plenty of societies and plenty of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
We had hardly any, there was a dramatic society that produced
Mm-hmm.
one play a year, maybe 10, 15 students could participate in it. And
Mm-hmm.
there was also, I think, a debate society, but, you know, maybe 10, 15 people of the whole college. There's nothing else. Because
Mm-hmm.
there was no money, there was no facilities, there was nothing. So, I mean, and the only source of information was the library, but the library also had, didn't have the latest of anything. No, they could have some things, but so it was very different life. Okay, that
Right.
you didn't
Uh,
have any
mm-hmm.
facilities, but what you did was you spent time with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
The courses were really not so tough. In the first year in BA, we had an exam, but it didn't count towards your final grade. So the first year essentially was okay, just get to know your friends in the college.
Right.
Of course, you would have to take the final exam in those subjects
Mm-hmm.
later on. But as life was, what should I say, not so tough and not so complicated. And there was no way to actually make good use of your spare time
Mm.
like we have today.
Right.
But other than that, what can I say? That, everybody just managed. And of course, by the time we were students, it was better than 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing was that, you wrote your exams. Your main thing was, do I have a pen that doesn't leak? Because these were the basics missing in those days, that, anyway, so life was pretty easy in all colleges of Delhi, especially North Campus.
Mm-hmm.
And the courses weren't all that hard. And many of the people didn't attend the courses, take it all seriously. 'Cause, you
Right.
could get reasonable marks and you could get a job. So, in that sense, the life was not so stressed in undergraduate life as yours is. And also, we accomplished nothing because there was no way to accomplish it. What could you
Mm.
do? There was nothing to do. There were no facilities. Nobody had any money. The college had no money. There were no organizations, nothing. So you just had friends, and sometimes you had some money, so you would go wandering around Delhi and spend some small amounts, but nothing much. Okay, you'd go by bus, mainly because you couldn't afford a taxi or anything. Anyway,
Mm,
that was life, and that changed dramatically when you went to Delhi School of Economics, because there the courses were tough, like they are today.
right.
But if you're
Mm,
talking of undergraduate life, then yeah, you would have a cricket match between the two colleges, you would have table tennis, those things.
mhm.
And there wasn't that much. Like, we had, tell you a stupid incident. There were many people who had come from Calcutta at that time because of
Right.
Naxal problem. And they had actually already finished 1 year in Calcutta.
Mm,
So then they came. So there's one guy who came, well, many of them, one fellow very serious. He actually did the assignment that the teacher had given. So when he showed it to the teacher, and the teacher said, "You mean to say you didn't have anything better to do? You mean now I have to grade this also? Why don't you go and play cricket or something? What's the point?" So it was like not a
it
tough.
was fun.
It was
Yeah.
more, but there were no resources to have fun with.
Mm,
You didn't have transport or anything, and you didn't have even the money. Pocket money was also scarce. So it
mm,
was okay, fine. You just spent time with your friends, played cards, because there's
mm.
nothing else you could afford. So that's what life was. And there was obviously rivalry between the various colleges dating back even 30, 40 years before me.
Right.
So,
Yeah, even we have heard about the Stephens versus Hindu rivalry. Although I'm not aware of the very exact situation what happened, but yeah, there's something that actually cooks there.
well, it's not much. I mean, the rivalry was not much, but it would really be manifested on the playing arena, like in cricket. It's like India
Right.
versus Pakistan in cricket, or in
Hmm.
the table tennis, or whatever was the squash, or whatever was the tournament. Because in academics, how can you have a competition? Yeah, in the debate, yes. But so these were the sort of inter-college things at that time. And
Hmm.
I wasn't involved in any of those. I was just wasting my time. No, what's the need to be doing all these things? Just have a good, not a good time in the sense of spending money. Where was the money? There was no money to
Hmm.
spend on. But other than that, it was a fun time. Not a fun time. Also, you learned how to do crossword puzzles. You learned how to do many other things which weren't academic, but which were low cost.
Hmm.
You couldn't. I mean, where do you even have crossword puzzles? There's only one newspaper in the library. So,
Right.
you understand that life was very constrained financially,
Hmm.
but not so constrained in terms of time, and not so constrained in terms of future job opportunities.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to your life, not my life.
Yeah. So for my life, I'll start from the very bottom. So, I did my schooling from a very nearby school called Tyagi Public School. So, as a student, I was a person for whom grades were the only form of validation academically that could get. Moreover, I'll say the school was also not very well to do off in terms of when we talk about extracurricular activities. It was just like 8 academic oriented periods and then I get home. There was no this like head boy, head girl, and there was no clubs and something. So even joining a regular college and not a distant learning program was a tough yet very worth it choice of mine. So I come from a family where everyone's are like teachers, professor, academician, and government employees. So exploring was never a free choice, especially in my maternal side of my family. So as I've decided to do a regular course, so I looked up colleges that I would like to join. So I was always astonished to see SRCC and Stephen. There was no Hindu in my mind ki I would like to join Hindu. So I gave my entrances, and yet and behold, I am at Hindu. Although after I have completed my 1 year of economics graduation at Hindu college, and I am very happy to say ki I am like really happy at Hindu, and even if given choice, I would no longer move to SRCC or Stephens. Life at Hindu is very vibrant in terms of culture. I have, as a person, developed an understanding for what a society actually means. There are different type of people, and I have to understand their aspirations and as well as respect them, not in the terms of literary means, but actually what it says it means. So yes, also, as I joined college, I was influenced by the word social very much. So for me, it barely meant people, but now as I've more defined non-literal sense of definition to it, so I'll say कि social is more than just people. It's people with an impact. So I joined this social entrepreneurship club in my college called Enactors. So for what Enactors do, it's a student run club, and they basically devise and maintain a project in which they involve certain set of people who are, let's say, livelihood deprived, and they form a project around them on how to employ them in a business which is socially inclined. For example, related to waste management or water sanitation and stuff. Also, recently, I have also started doing a social service project under Ministry of Education called Vidyanjali, in which I go to a nearby school and just teach out children's, and tell them what life is, how teach them very vocational basic level skills like communication and stuff. Yes. And also I'd like to show the listeners, there was this one, I work at Department of Economics as a junior designer. Now I have promoted to executive designer. So there's an editorial board, and we make tunes. I specifically make tunes around the cultural heritage as well as the governmental side of point of view. So I like to show the viewers of what exactly I draw.
Okay, let's have it.
Yeah, here. I hope the screen is visible.
Yeah, it's very clear.
Yeah, so this is one of my recent tune that I made. It's if not evident, the person in the screen is none other than Mukesh Ambani, and this is just a satirical tune which says ki how the prices of the geo data plans have risen. Uh, Certainly, which mockingly people says owing to Mukesh Ambani's son lavish wedding. I There was one more tune. Yeah. So this is the cultural tune. So this tune is about a, a multinational festival called Day of the Dead. It is celebrated in Mexico, and what exactly is shown in this picture is there are two dead persons, and they are certainly from heaven. So the lady actually is painting her face, which is a tradition is in Mexico. This festival is celebrated by offering marigold to the person, and people paint their mouth like the one skull painted in this tool. So yeah, this is one of my very love project. I love to draw. Also, I'd like to share one of this incident of mine. So when I joined college, and this is, I think, one of my advices to every fellow person out there who's facing the same issue. So there's this thing called rat race, which I think everyone gets into as they join a college or something that is new to their life. So as I joined college, I'll just stop sharing my screen. So yeah. So as I joined college, I was very new to the term rat race. So there was rat race to join what student call as tier one societies and club. There was rat race to get a perfect internship. There was rat race to do infinite competitions at some very prestigious institution like IIMs, IITs. So even I was a part of it like till a month ago. But uh, after before a month ago, uh, I was doing this internship at Noise, and there I was so lost. Ki, what am I doing in life? Is this what economics means to me? Is this what life means to me? So during the summer breaks, I recollected myself and pondered over the whys. The why to do a certain internship, the why to reach out to someone, the why to even do economics. I might not have all the answer with myself of these why, but I will surely figure it out. So this one book I was reading while I was traveling those 20 metro stations to one of not a preferred choice of mine is, I'll say, a almanac of Ravikant. So I'll suggest every listener of this to read that book. That book has taught me that there is more to life than some moments. There's more to life than what you feel is the end point. How to feel good about your journey. And that book has this thing that says ki when you think that everyone is better of you, or a particular person is better of you, you're actually degrading your and humiliating your own journey of hard work that you have done. Yes. Also, throughout my first year, I was yeah, in this autonomous project by Ministry of Finance. So the project was related to, we were researching about moonlighting. Moonlighting is a practice in which a person do dual jobs or two jobs, in which generally the first recruiter doesn't know that the person is doing a second job. So we were actually we were assigned to make policy recommendation of how to implement moonlighting in India. So they wanted to achieve this by using full employment diversification and as well as job segmentation. So, sir, I would like to know your views over moonlighting or dual jobs and a practical solution, how to approach it. Matlab, I'd like to know more about your views about it.
Actually, I've never thought about it, to be honest.
Right.
The problem, but it's well known that what the problem is that the first job doesn't pay enough.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, people have to sacrifice, as an economist, you are sacrificing your leisure.
Right.
So you are buying money by paying leisure.
Mm.
So you are sacrificing your leisure because the first job doesn't pay enough. So in that sense, it's not a good policy recommendation, because really what people should be able to do is to have enough money from one job.
Mm.
Now, sometimes you can do overtime, but that's not the same as moonlighting.
Right.
If you want to moonlight, fine. That you have a need for money, do it. But I don't
Mm.
think it's a national goal of any type. It's actually a very sort of strategy to cope with your failures, to create
I,
reasonably paying jobs.
mm.
So, of course, you have no way to increase the income of people because their productivity is already set by the
Mm.
time they are in the job that they are in. And it's very hard to skill them up now. So
Mm.
you are really stuck with your skills and therefore with your earnings. And so what can you do? You have to say, well, sometimes somehow I can get a second job, and sure. But I don't think it's a workable national strategy to say that, look, people have to work 14 hours a day. That's
Mm.
not a, I don't think that any government or any
Yep.
society should aim for it. Now, certain cultures, countries like East Asia, people do work those long hours. But that's not moonlighting. In that one place only, they work those hours. And
Mm.
that's fine. It's quite different from saying, look, go home and then go to work again in some other place. I don't think that's a strategy that I would recommend. I would say it's nothing but an acknowledgement of your failure.
Mm-hmm.
And it may have a shelf life of, say, 10 years, because the younger people, you should be skilling them more so that they can actually be more productive and get better jobs,
Mm.
which we aren't doing.
Yeah, I agree on that. So even as we worked on this project for 10 months, and even our conclusions were all the same. We even did research on what other countries, specifically continents, were doing about this moonlighting. And we all agree on the very conclusion that it's just a sham to cover your weaknesses and how to cover the macroeconomics factors. So yes. One of your point that I get that I really like to focus on is the skills. I hope that you know about this new education policy that is implemented in India. So
Correct.
recently there was this Indian budget that came out just in the month of July, and I am very sad to look at the percentage allocation to the education sector, which is 3%. And however, even the NEP document in the 2020 said that the minimum 6% of the GDP should be allocated to education. And I like to focus on this very ground level point that under the NEP curriculum, we as a college student now have to study 7 subjects per semester. We had the people before us who worked under the CBSE system were giving only 4 exams per semester. So in the 7 subjects, there are two courses called value addition course and the skill enhancement course. But this is not the right way to do it. If the allocation to education sector is so less that there's no infrastructure, then what is the point of doing these courses? We had courses like advanced Excel and stuff, but what will happen if we don't have enough resources like as say computers and teachers? So I'll say ki it's a two-way thing. You spend on education, then infrastructure will develop, and so will be the workforce. So it's a thing that goes around increasing the budget on education. Yeah, so this is one of my Whippets with you. And yeah, I look forward to do one more Whippet with you, maybe a decade later, where I'm a better self, maybe have a better understanding of economics as a theory, and maybe added fancy degrees. So yes, thank you, sir, for having me here, and I'm very blessed to speak on such a decorated platform in such a young age.
Okay, but let me ask you, I want you to talk to students in 11th and 12th.
Mm-hmm.
How you chose economics. You said you didn't even want to be in Hindu, how you got to be in Hindu, why you chose economics, what were your decisions at that time,
Mm-hmm.
what can they look forward to in college. So why don't you give them, that's why I want some young people like you to talk to them,
Right.
because getting into a good college, I mean, Hindu is one of the top colleges in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Getting into Hindu is not easy at all, and people would like to hear how you did it.
Right. So to my fellow juniors, I'll say ki choose economics very wisely. It's a subject that actually requires full dedication, and it's not a thing that you can just get off 3 years in college. It's economics in Delhi University is very quantitative in a sense that you won't get enough time on working on theories, including macroeconomics and microeconomics. The curriculum more revolves around the mathematics analysis and the statistic part. So if you are choosing economics on the basis that you learn about micro and macro on the very large level, then I'll say you might need to rethink about that and just choose I'll say ki choose economics from DU if you want to do a quantitative side of it, and choose economics from any other university. I'm not aware about all the universities curriculum, but yeah, at DU the curriculum is more quantitative. And yeah, choose economics. I think it's one of the best career out there. Even I am not aware about the very career prospects out of it, but from the seniors and the people that have been passed that have graduated in economics, I have heard that you can go into public policy, you can go into consultancy. There's infinite academic career trajectory that you can choose. So yeah, that's
What
from
about the parental pressure to become a doctor or an engineer?
I cannot totally relate to that since my both parents are teachers as of now. My father has been a graduate in economics. Even he has done a master's. So he was a professor at one of the new colleges, but now he uh, left that and resigned for a school principal job. So for me, there was no pressure as to choose science or commerce. There was no humanities in our school. So our school was I was not so huge name, so that's why, and due to constraints, we had no humanities. All my family members have generally been through commerce or humanities. There was no doctor and engineers in my family, so
Okay.
there was no such pressure on me, although I was free to choose anything. But I can see that in certain household that I've seen, there is more pressure towards taking science and not humanities. I cannot even withstand the fact that humanities, which is such a mind-blowing career option, and even a thing that you can develop on. I have friends, I have known people who have chosen humanities as a plus two uh, choices, and they are doing very good in life. They have knowledge which I don't. They can talk about geopolitics, they can talk about history all the while I cannot. So choose a career that you like. I agree that parental pressure is a thing, but I'll say ki try to and make them understand ki how you should be very clear of what you want to do. So yeah, that's from my side.
Okay, but how do you become clear?
Sorry.
How do you become clear of what you want to
How do
do?
we become clear? So I think that's a thing. You start
Mm.
by eliminating things. There are certain factors that is very subjective to people. For example, for me, when I had to even till before 15 days, we had to fill preferences of whether I want to do a bachelor in commerce or economics. I was not very clear of what I had to do. So it's a thing that you need to reach out to people on LinkedIn, you reach out to people in your family who have, graduated or even studied in a very less sense of it. Talk to people. I think talking to people who have done it is the best way to choose a career, because they can tell you what the actually loopholes of the uh, career is, and the real life insights is what you need to choose a career. So you need to talk to people, for me.
Okay. Anything else you want to add here?
No, I just look forward. I just want to reiterate that I really look forward to do a Vipid, maybe like a decade or maybe 5 years later, when
All
I'm
right,
a better
fine.
self.
All right, fine. We'll look for it then. Okay, so let's say bye now. I'll be
Hmm.
back young with another young person or an expert soon. Bye everybody till then.